I am here to patch a critical vulnerability in your operating system. A semantic virus propagated by the statistical outliers. You call them winners, I call them anomalies. You are attempting to replicate a stochastic outcome with a flawed heuristic. Let's look at the source code. Follow your passion, that's an epistemological breach. A survivor's bias algorithm is all that they teach. You query the billionaire, the outlier in the data set. He scans his memory banks, fueled by the assets he met. He feels a dopamine spike, a neurochemical flare, and constructs a retroactive narrative out of thin air. He conflates the correlation with the causation, a dopamine-induced historical hallucination. He is confusing the propellant with the emission, a fundamental error in the logic of his vision. Passion is not the fuel source driving the machine. Passion is the exhaust plume, the residue of the clean execution of competence. You got the physics incorrect. You're praising the byproduct and ignoring the effect. Fuel the energy, build the architecture, lock the state. Passion is the latency, it's destined to arrive late.
I run the heuristic, I lock the grid. I bury the impulse, the ancestors did. I don't want your passion, that's a ghost in the code. A systemic error on a high traffic road. If you're waiting for the spark to initiate the port, you're standing at an airport waiting for a train in the core. Terminal latency, static on the line. I don't need the feeling to make the wind mine.
Passion is a subprime lender, a predatory script, the loan shark of emotion, leaving you financially stripped. It hijacks the limbic system to override the cortex, pulling you into a saturated market vortex. Start a bakery! It screams, ignoring the margin compression, ignoring the macroeconomic recession. And here comes the biology, homeostatic regulation. The brain demands equilibrium, cessation of sensation. The dopamine down regulates, the excitement decays. The passion and entity quits in the gray phase. They lack the algorithmic persistence to grind, but the system builder, he leaves the feelings behind. He executes the protocol, he ignores the mood swing. He creates deterministic process for the unpredictable thing.
I run the heuristic, I lock the grid. I bury the impulse, the ancestors did. I don't want your passion, that's a ghost in the code. A systemic error on a high traffic road. If you're waiting for the spark to initiate the port, you're standing at an airport waiting for a train in the core. Terminal latency, static on the line. I don't need the feeling to make the wind mine.
Discard the poetry, this is engineering reality. What is my passion is a fatal duality. Query the hardware, where is the energy surplus? That is the biofeedback defining your purpose. I can scrub a floor and hit a metabolic drain. I can write a heuristic and ignite the brain. That's the aptitude signal, the voltage increase. Follow the energy vector, let the friction release. Build a talent stack, multivariating abroad. Boringly consistent, statistically flawed to the outside observer, but inside I'm winning. Strategically diversified from the beginning, mechanically responsive to the feedback loop data. I don't need the love, I need the beta. I need the version that works, I need the system that scales, while the passionate artist inevitably fails.
I run the heuristic, I lock the grid. I bury the impulse, the ancestors did. I don't want your passion, that's a ghost in the code. A systemic error on a high traffic road. If you're waiting for the spark to initiate the port, you're standing at an airport waiting for a train in the core. Terminal latency, static on the line. I don't need the feeling to make the wind mine.
Success is a function of your architecture. Passion is a byproduct of your victory. Don't bring the emotion, bring the energy, bring the logic. Let the passion arrive.